of the slides to access as well, but I thought I would go through them with you. So first week of our science, we're looking at the characteristic of living things, and there are 7 main characteristics which we're going to focus on today. So a nice little acronym to help us remember is Mrs Nerg. So Mrs Nerg makes up all of those life processes, and they are movement, reproduction, sensitivity, nutrition, excretion, respiration, and growth. Okay, we'll look at each one in turn. So if we start with the M for Mrs Nerg, all living things move. Okay, so movement is the first one. People and animals move around from place to place, and plants, they turn towards the light, and also if you look at the roots, they go deep down into the soil, so they're moving down, and the plant's head moves towards the sun. So next we have the R. R is for reproduce. All living things reproduce. So people and animals have babies, and plants produce seeds, which make seedlings, and that's part of their life cycle, which we'll be looking at in lesson 3. Then we have the S, so sensitivity. If you think of humans, we are temperature sensitive, so we tend to wear something warm when it's cold, and then obviously in the summer we tend to wear less clothes because we get too hot. And plants as well, they grow better in temperatures which best suit them, and they turn to face the sunlight. If you think of your grass over winter, it doesn't tend to grow, and that's because the temperature isn't at the right level for them to have that growth. So on to the end, which is the nutrition. So all living things need food. So people and animals get energy and stay healthy by eating nutritious food. So that's why we eat a wide and varied diet. Plants, they drink water and make their own food with the help of the sunlight. Lots of you know the process is called photosynthesis, and that's how the plant produces its own food, which is very clever. Now it's the E for excrete. All living things need to get rid of waste. So people and animals, we get rid of waste by going to the toilet, and also when we sweat. So you'll notice when you're exercising, our bodies, we produce sweat, and that's us getting rid of that waste. And plants, they're very clever again, so they get rid of waste by taking in carbon dioxide and releasing oxygen. That's why we know that plants are really healthy for us, because they produce the vital oxygen that we breathe in. So almost finished, onto the R. So we've got to the R on Mrs Nerg. So respiration, breathing. So living things need to respire to create the energy they need to live. So people, animals and plants use the oxygen in the air to help turn food into energy. Last letter of Mrs Nerg is G, which is a growth. So people and animals have babies who grow into adults. So if you think about, you've been a baby, and then you become a child, adolescent, and then you go into an adult, and then when you're an adult, then you can reproduce and have another baby. So the G is for the growth, which takes part. And obviously plants, they produce seeds, which then grow into plants. So if you remember Mrs Nerg, you remember the 7 key life processes, which are movement, reproduction, sensitivity, nutrition, excretion, respiration, and growth. So now we've had a look at this, you can look again, but you're ready really to do your exercise for today. So there's 2 levels, and the 2-star, it gives you all of the definitions of the characteristics down the side, and then you have to just obviously match up the correct description to the characteristic on Mrs Nerg, and then think of an example of an animal, an example of a plant. Try and do a different one for each one, challenge yourself a little bit so you have different ones. So if you're feeling confident, and lots of you will be, on the 3-star one, you put your own description of what each of the characteristics are. So the 7 key characteristics, you describe them, and then again you add your animal, and then you add your plant example. Okay, So those are the 7 life processes, Mrs Nerg. Great acronym. I still remember it now, and I learned it at school in science. And looking ahead to next week, excited about this one. So next week's science lesson is all about the parts and functions of parts of the flower. So I will actually be dissecting a flower. I've got 2 lilies, which are really good to show the different parts. And I'm going to take one of those apart live for you. And then I'm hoping that you get a chance to do the same and maybe send in some photographs as well. Okay, so that's this week's science. So Mrs Nerg, see if you can get the acronym in your head, because it'll tend to stick, because you will look at it again in a bit more detail. And I think with one more process when you're Key Stage 3 science. So yes, so if you can remember it, that will be a brilliant thing. Okay, take care, all of Year 5. Enjoy the rest of the week, and I'll see you for next week's science lesson. Bye for now.